Attention all Xbox passengers, did you know that some of your favorite games were made by Canadians? Well, on today's show, fellow Canadian friend Naomi Kyle jumps on board with Leah and I as we chat about our favorite games available to play on Game Pass. Welcome aboard to the Xbox Passport. Let's go.
Welcome, travelers, to the Xbox Passport, presented by Xbox Canada, the podcast all about the best value in gaming, Xbox Game Pass. I'm Leah Jewer, and joining me on this voyage is none other than my friend and yours, the blind gamer, Steve Saylor. Hey, Steve, how's it going?
You know, I was going to say I was like doing relatively okay, but I am better now that we're doing this show.
Oh, love it. Thank you to everyone who supported the launch of the first episode of the podcast. If you haven't seen it yet, you can catch up by listening on all excellent podcast platforms, and you can watch the video on Steve's YouTube channel. For episode 2, we wanted to bring the convo a little close to home, which for us is the Great White North. And we wanted to talk games on Game Pass that are made right here in Canada. To do this, we wanted to bring a friend along, and I couldn't think of a better person than Canada's own Naomi Kyle. Welcome, Naomi, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course. I'm so excited to be here. Woohoo.
Yay!
I love that shout out.
So excited you were able to join us for this today. And of course, we want to give you a chance to tell everybody who you are, what you do, and why you love games.
Oh my gosh, why do I love games? Well, first of all, who doesn't love games? But second of all, yeah, I love games because they're super engaging and super fun, and I get to be a character that I've never been before in my life and will probably never be. And what I do, I don't know, I used to work at IGN. I used to host stuff for them for 7 years. It was a long time. And then I moved on and I did my own thing, and I've hosted other stuff for CBS and all sorts of other channels, and I've been on podcasts and all sorts of different things. So for me, it's just a love of games that turned into a career. It's always been a passion of mine, and yeah, here we are. Now I'm on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Well, like I mentioned, you're Canadian, just like Steve and I. And what do you think it means to be a Canadian gamer, especially right now, considering how many games are actually developed right here?
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I really didn't grasp when I first started playing video games, was how much of it was being done, created, built out of Canada. And I think what it means to me is a sense of pride. I just get a lot of pride knowing that I'm from one of the best countries for video game development. I'm from Quebec, where Ubisoft lives, and a bunch of other devs have moved to since I started this career. So for me, it's just being a part of that culture, and it just instills a sense of pride in me to say, I'm in one of the biggest, I'm from one of the best places where a lot of iconic, really cool video games have come from. And then you could talk about Vancouver and all the other places in Canada where games are being made. So for me, it's just, I'm just very prideful, humble about it. Just all the good feelings. Yeah, I think you guys probably get it, right? It's just I get to say I'm from a place where iconic video games have been made, and where it's almost like you're legitimate because you're from Canada and you play games. It just makes sense because U.S. does make a lot of games and other countries make a lot of games, but Canada's definitely hit so many very big, very iconic titles in our industry. So it's I don't know. I could keep going on about this, but it's basically just a place in my heart that's very special to say I'm from Canada, and yeah, we make a lot of really sick games.
Yeah, I love it too, because the three of us are come from definitely different parts of Canada, so we're not all from, even though that both Lee and I currently live in Toronto right now. So just to let you know, folks, if you know, there's no Toronto, Montreal, Quebec Ontario beef going on here. This is a very safe space. But I come from basically the just outside of Niagara Falls. Yeah. You, like you said, you come from Quebec, and Lee, you're from Newfoundland, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so like I love the fact that it's like we're all kind of like East Coast-ish. That's fine, you know. We'll have some Western representation at some point in the future of the show, but I love that. So I kind of wanted to ask, like, what was it like growing up in Quebec, as obviously like just as a gamer, like you know, little Naomi, like playing games. Like, what was the first sort of game that you kind of got into? And, what was it like?
Oh my gosh. Well, I grew up in a very small town. It's in the Laurentians part of Quebec. So if you know like Saint-Agathe, Val-David, Les-Laurentides, it's like this whole thing. So it's a lot of ski hills, a lot of lakes, a lot of forests. I grew up in the forest. So if you can imagine little Naomi living in a forest, that was me. So I grew up not a lot of money. My parents were like working class, and I got into games because my neighbors had a Nintendo. I had a friend who had an N64 too growing up. So I like fell in love with them through them. But then the classic thing that you hear a lot of gamers say that this is their origin story, but they begged their parents to get a console. And so we did that, myself and my sister, and we were just like hounding our parents, like, please get us a console. Like, this is a thing that people do, and it's a good pastime, even though they were the kind of parents who were like, go outside, go play, like, don't stay indoors and watch TV. So it took a bit of convincing, but they finally came through. And I guess what I would say about my experience, it was just very, and I grew up around the time where there wasn't like, we didn't get access to internet much later. Like, I was a teenager by the time we got that. So I wasn't like in message boards or like trying to figure out different ways to beat games or anything like that. I had to use the call centers. I had to use the hotlines to get, info on games. So
I remember those too. Forgot about the game helpline that I was, oh my gosh.
It was a hassle. And the game I remember doing this the most for. So I had to call so many times. I'm sure the tellers were so annoyed with me at that point. It was for the Star Wars Phantom Menace video game.
Yes, back in the day. I remember that.
We were huge Star Wars. Myself and my sister were huge Star Wars fans, and so when this game came out, we were all about it. And we don't care that it got a horrible. Like later in life, I checked this on IGN.com. I was like, I wonder how well this game did. It did not do well, and it did not get a good review. It was not well loved, even though as a kid it was like a dream. I get to walk around Tatooine, and I get to walk around Naboo's like beautiful palaces and all this stuff. It was amazing, and I got to play as Queen Amidala, who I loved, and so it was this whole thing. For me as a kid, and looking back at the graphics, it looks horrible. Like you can't even make out like the pixels on this character. Like in my head, it was so crystal clear, but you look back now, it's not looking so great. But that was, as a kid, when you're playing games like that, your imagination kind of takes over. And so for me, it was growing up it was an isolated experience. Like I did not know about developers. I didn't know about like media, like content being made around games. Like I didn't even have a game about a magazine that I could read or anything. So I had to, I was dependent on my parents. So I had limited income. So it was once I got to college where things kind of started, the floodgates kind of opened up, and all of a sudden, I was reading stuff on IGN. I was tapped into the fact that Montreal was like a developer hub. Like I worked for Gameloft, in my early college years, which was like a sister company to Ubisoft at the time, or maybe they'd just parted ways, I believe. But it was a big deal, like that I was literally at the headquarters for Gameloft at the time and working there. So I think, that was my experience. It was like very living in the woods, very isolating experience. Like I would go and rent video games, or I would sometimes get them for Christmas, like own a game. And some of my first games were PlayStation 1, Crash Bandicoot and stuff like that. But that was my experience. It was once I got to the big city that I realized, oh my gosh. And of course I was much older at that point, so I understood the world on a different level and could get really into games and really see the culture around it and be a part of it. which was something I think as a kid, sometimes you're just not aware of the wider scope and like the bigger picture.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
When how you have, big this industry is, you know?
Yeah. Like you don't even realize as a kid, it's like, this is something like that someone was paid to make this.
Exactly.
Like you don't
like
think
that
of it
there
as
were
a job.
careers. Like
That's a job.
I didn't know. Yeah. Like I was like, I didn't know. Like I guess I thought growing up, I was like, nobody talked to me saying, hey, you could have a career in games. It was always like movies, TV, or, you know, if you want to be an artist or photographer, like in the creative field, that was kind of my passion, and music and stuff like that. But then I didn't think in college there wasn't a program that said, hey, you could be a game dev. Like that wasn't a thing. It only was much later, once I was having a career in it, where I realized, oh yeah, like now they're starting to implement that and really like tell kids that this is a viable thing. Like you can be, and there's different ways you can come at it. You could be a journalist, you could be a reviewer, you could be someone who works on the engineering side. You know, there's all sorts of different things that make video games a viable career path, and you just have to find kind of your way in that works for you too.
So you said that you worked at Gameloft?
I did.
So what did you do at Gameloft?
Again, roundabout way of getting into the gaming industry. I'm not sure a lot of people got in the way that I did, but at the time I was in college. I was studying film and communications and media, and I was still kind of figuring out my path and what I wanted to do in life. And I was doing a side hustle as a model in Montreal. Believe it or not, Montreal does have a pretty legitimate like modeling industry, and you could, a lot of really big agencies are out of there, Next Canada, stuff like that. And I ended up joining Next Canada and becoming a model for them. And so they sent me out on an audition one time to go work for Gameloft. And at the time I was like, okay, I know games and I know that I, can, but it wasn't like a modeling job where I was going to take photos or anything. It was like, you had to go on camera and talk about games. And for some reason,
that's like what they think. It's like,
wow.
Oh yeah, you're a model. Oh yeah, you can totally talk about games.
Right? Like it was so random, and I was like, I don't know, like why are they casting models? I feel like this is an actor's job or like something else, But of course I went in, and I don't know how many people I maybe ran into two of the other models who auditioned. They knew nothing about it. They were like, I didn't know what to say and stuff like that. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous. But of course, I meet the co-host, Josh, his name was. He worked there. He was also a producer and kind of headed up the content for Gameloft. It was Gameloft's like YouTube channel that they were building out. And so they wanted people to present stuff, talk about the games that they were releasing or working on, any updates that are happening. So I go in there not really knowing much about Gameloft per se, because it was pretty much mobile games at the time. And I was playing, console games. So, but I went in and it's like, okay, I know Josh. He's my people. Like, we're both nerds. I knew it right off the bat. And then here I am. We're like talking about Splinter Cell or like some of our favorite games and going back and forth. And I think that just solidified that I was going to get the job because I actually knew like about games. So it just worked out that was my path into the industry. It's a roundabout way. But that was like a year and a half of my life, just going into the office, working on video content, hosting. Sometimes they would do like on the field stuff, like going out to, like I remember one time I did like a special training where I had to do like airsoft shooting, and like it was like a training camp for how to be a soldier kind of thing, and or whatever it was called.
That's cool though.
Yeah, at the time it was like a content piece attached to like a video game where you're like going around shooting things, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know how it is. So
pick any random shooter probably was for that.
Exactly. So that was my experience. My first time ever experienced working in the gaming space and also hosting. So I was very green. Like if you can probably go back and find some of my old videos with them. I think it's still on their channels. You can tell I still have a Montreal accent too. Somehow that went away. But yeah, that was the first I worked for a dev for like right out the gate. And it led to IGN down the road. So no complaints. It's a really fun experience, and I learned a lot in that year and a half. But yeah, that was me working with a Canadian dev in Canada.
I love that. Now we do have another question for you for like what you been up to, and we do also have like an icebreaker question that we want to ask you. But this is that we had this as an icebreaker question in the first episode, but I like it so much that I think I want to ask this to every guest we have coming on.
I love it.
What do you remember was the very first Xbox game that you played?
Oh my gosh. I didn't know. I thought that it was going to be a different question.
We've got that question too coming.
Okay.
I think Steve pulled this one out of his back pocket.
You threw me a real icebreaker.
I'm sorry. I pivot real quick.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I want to say it was Halo.
Nice.
Probably Halo.
That was mine too.
Yeah. But this was this was the OG first Xbox, and I didn't actually own the console. It was my boyfriend at the time. But we played co-op Halo, and that was just what we did. And that was my first Xbox game, I remember. I think I even bought him that Xbox like on eBay or something for his birthday.
Oh, I hope you got I hope you got your money back when that ended.
No, I didn't.
Or at least got to keep the console. Did you get to keep the console?
No, I didn't. It was a gift. It was a gift
bummer.
for my boyfriend. So, it was his.
All right, well, okay.
A very nice present.
I would have collected that and like, this is what I need my Xbox back. That's what's going to happen.
No. At that point, I think, I want to say, because we'd stayed together quite a bit. It was like a 7-year relationship. So I think at that point, he'd probably sold it or got rid of it or something. Because at that point, the Xbox One was out, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
at that point, it's like, what's the point of having this?
At that
dust.
point, I don't want the old one. I want to keep I want the new stuff.
Yeah, I mean, literally, my old one's literally back here on my shelf. So it's just collecting dust, basically, at this point.
Yeah. Boxes of storage of old consoles. And my husband's like, why are we moving this again?
That's my parents' living nightmare right now. Like, they are not allowed to get rid of any of my own consoles. And they're just holding on to it free of charge. Like, they're not charging interest or anything. I'm like, they're like, do you want us to send this over? I'm like, no, just keep it there.
I appreciate your parents so much because mine sold all the consoles that we had. Oh yeah, I found out that like apparently we had a Super Nintendo that was so like it was kind of like one of the rare ones that didn't yellow. It was still like kind of silver. And when my sister my sister was told to go sell it, and I was just like, I kind of wanted to keep that. And then we found out that like it was kind of expensive. Like we got a lot of money for that. I think we got like $500 just for getting that and plus the games, and I was so mad that I was like, why'd you sell it? And then they also sold my like Game Boy Advance SP, which was my favorite, and I'm like, I even wanted that ever since. I had like anyway, man. That's why I held on to this thing because this is literally my original Xbox back here, like from like 2002. So
back in the day, I can see it. I have a Wii U back there, believe it or not, and my 3DS with my Zelda 3DS with the Triforce on it.
Oh, I had that.
Yeah.
And then again, my parents sold it.
No, like that one's so pretty looking too.
Oh, I
like,
loved it. The
so
gold,
the gold one.
Yeah. So perfect. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Man.
Console designs are so nice. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. And they're iconic, and it does add like it just has like a nostalgia factor too. And like I find they do look good on a shelf, like when you can get them all nicely displayed. And, it looks
like,
good.
The controllers, like Xbox puts out some phenomenal controllers. I've got a beautiful Wonder Woman 84 controller back there, and then like the day one Xbox Series X, the day one Xbox One controller. Like I keep all of that because it's just so many memories, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they are pretty. Like they're designed with that in mind, I think. Even the older generation, I mean, they're just retro at that point, and they have still an aesthetic to them that's really appealing. Also, love your nails. I don't know if they're actually the color of your backlight right now. Yeah, that's so good. That's so good.
They're watermelon themed.
Yeah, you should get a watermelon themed Xbox controller. I'm sure you can do that.
Like
the neon green with the pink.
You started an idea now with Xbox Design Labs. Oh,
heck yeah.
boy.
Heck yeah.
I love that.
For Valentine's Day, Xbox sent over quite the cute kit that has the pink controller.
I got the one,
Really?
that one too. Oh.
And I posted that my husband was jelly that Xbox wanted to be my Valentine, and I was like, sorry,
Aw.
Mike.
I saw that post. I was jelly too, so I get it.
I was gonna get into the real icebreaker question we had, but it sounds like you got something cool.
I just want to show that we're on a Canadian show right now, and look, I have the Tim Hortons mug right now.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Love it.
Sent from my parents in Canada. They love being Canadian, so they always send me cool Canadian like merch. And this is just, I have 2 of these actually. Yeah, classic
cool.
Tim Hortons mug.
Nice.
Kind of on topic, you know.
Nice. Well, let's get into that because that is the icebreaker question of the day we've got going. What game have you played that you or other people might be surprised was actually developed in Canada?
Yeah, I actually have a good one for this because I loved it to death. Now, I don't know how many other people have played this game that are listening to this, but they should definitely check it out if they haven't yet. It's called Chariot. Does anyone?
No, I have not heard of
Rings
this.
a
Okay.
bell.
Okay, so Chariot, I'll tell you, it's a co-op game, so you play.
Yes.
Well, you can play it by yourself, but it's best played with 2 people. Like I want to say it predates like what was that? Overcooked and like because it was that kind of game where you play co-op and it gets kind of crazy and you have to it could instill fights in people. But Chariot is made by a developer, Frima Studio. They're based out of Quebec. They're an indie dev, and I remember the game kind of hit the scene and a lot of people loved it. You know, I don't know how big it got and how many people have played it since, but it's a Quebec-made game. And the storyline is basically, I think you're a princess and your father's the king, and your father has passed away. And so your job is to carry his coffin or his burial, his body across this whole video game to the end. And you're supposed to do it it's like platformer. So it's you have all these different levels and all these different puzzles to solve throughout. And you play with another person, and the whole thing is trying to keep this king's dead body in the coffin and bring it all the way through to the end of the game. It's super cute. It's got a bit of Ori vibe, and I just love the art style, and it's super colorful and fun. And I was surprised when I first played it to find out that it was made in Quebec. So that's my answer to the question.
Awesome.
Oh, that's cool. I think we definitely have to check that out.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it's available on Xbox. Oh.
Yeah. It came out, what year did it come out? 2014. Yeah.
I think I remember that game when it released.
It's on Nintendo Switch too. It's pretty much on all platforms. So, but yeah, Xbox One has it. And it's a fun co-op game. It's the puzzles solving and the figuring out of how to get through all the levels is really, really fun.
How about you,
that.
Steve? What game were you surprised, or do you think people would be surprised was a Canadian developed game?
So I had one that I was going to do. So forgive me, I'm going to do kind of like a runner-up in the one that I think people will be surprised about. So one specifically that I think that people should definitely check out is a game called The Veil: Shadow of the Crown. You may not have heard of it, but it actually, if it sounds a little bit familiar,
Okay,
it was
it does.
nominated for a Game Award a couple years ago in the accessibility category because it is a complete audio only game.
What?
There's no graphics other than sort of like a sparkly kind of like star feel to it, but you can totally play this entire game. It's a fantasy RPG that is totally playable via just audio, and
love
like
that.
the soundscape is like really cool. Like when you're there's one point where you're kind of like in this sort of village and everything is like 3D audio, and you can kind of you can walk towards a sound, and then it's that's where you can interact with a shopkeep or a blacksmith or whatever, and then it has combat in there, so you listening for a sound to know when to dodge or when to be able to strike with your sword or your bow and arrow.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. And the only reason why I bring it up is because it is made by a studio that is in my hometown of St. Catharines, Ontario, and it's I want to at least give a shout out to them because I think it's a really, really cool game. We might come up again and we have a theme for an accessibility themed episode at some point in the show. But the one I think that probably people would be surprised that that was a Canadian game. And this is something that I'm struggled to try to be able to play, and I keep picking it up and putting it down. I just like, and I just, it's one of those games I just can never sort of like complete, but it's like, it's one that I really, really love to be able to pick up and play. And that is Cuphead. Cuphead was a lot of people like it may or may not know that it is Canadian, but it is definitely made by I always get the name of the studio wrong. It's like I want to say MKBHD, but that's the YouTuber.
Studio MDHR.
MDHR, thank you. Yeah. They obviously they
Well.
just released the Delicious Last Course, which was their latest DLC
Yeah.
that last year. I definitely like there is a mod that I can actually be able to recommend. It's called, that creates an assist mode in the game. Just to let you know, if you're kind of like, if it's a little bit too hard for you, you can install this mod, and it does work on the Steam Deck. I've tried this myself as well. It'll give you 6 lives instead of 3, and it'll give you a bonus 40 coins at the beginning of the game, so you can be able to get a bunch of the potions and stuff and the items. Yeah.
I will need to play that because, you need the extra lives for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am just so impressed with that game in the fact that all the animation is hand-drawn, hand-inked, hand-colored. Like, the attention to detail in the creation of that game is just mind-blowing.
It makes me kind of sad though that the animated show didn't keep the same animation style.
No, it didn't.
No, it's a little bit more modern style, but it doesn't have that same kind of like like Popeye old school kind of like crackle and noise grain kind of style. I was like, I wish that the anime show was like that, but I love that. As an old school kind of like animation geek, I mean, I loved like old school like Disney. That was like so right up my alley.
Yeah, I loved Cuphead. Is really, it like hit on, I think what it did, it just like pierced through the noise of indie games. It's like, here's something really different, like the fact that it is hand drawn and all these different animation styles that it touched on, like it made itself stand out. And I was actually shocked to find out that it was Canadian. I legitimately, I thought I wouldn't have thought, but it's like, it's such an iconic indie title now. I don't think you could say the name Cuphead and not like have, like, most people would know. Most people are like aware of this game. It's just, it really pierced through all the noise. Well, there's just a lot of indie games out,
Sure.
and so for it to stand out, it really did something unique, and I love that. And it was just extremely hard, which people loved about it. Loved or hated. Depends.
It became a meme.
It became a meme. That's right.
But yeah. So, Leah, what about you? What is a game that you think would people be surprised that is Canadian?
So I was surprised when I discovered this game was Canadian because of the brands involved. And I say brands because it is definitely brands and IP full. So a little while ago, a game that is released on Game Pass that is currently in early access that is going to come out in full is Disney Dreamlight Valley. Who would have thunk a Canadian company, actually Gameloft Montreal, developed this game? Because, like, when you think of Disney, you think of, like, LA, you think of
California.
big studio, you think of,
Florida.
like, Florida, all of that. The biggest IPs in the world, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Frozen, and lo and behold, this really, really cool simulation adventure game was made in Montreal.
That's just wild to me.
That's
just
great.
wild to me.
Figured, right?
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's so cool.
And I really like this game, too, because, like, it has all the things that scratch the itch when I like to play games, like crafting and farming and meeting all these cute characters that, like...
Uh-oh.
And the
I'm gonna
coolest
play
thing...
this.
I know. The thing is,
It's
too, is,
basically
like...
Animal Crossing meets Disney,
selling
and I
me.
love
Yes.
Oh my god, you're selling me.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And Naomi, I'm sure, like, obviously, our generation grew up with the Disney stuff, like Mickey Mouse and Goofy, and then Little Mermaid and all that kind of stuff. But it, like, goes into the newer stuff, like Frozen and I think Toy Story's there, like stuff when we might have traditionally grown out of the Disney scene, but now I'm so intrigued by it that I want to go back and watch all those movies that I've never seen, because I'm starting to grow relationships with these characters that I don't know their history. And and it's just super approachable. There's no real combat or anything. It's just like smooth sailing, you know, building your own little valley of all these Disney characters that you adore, and so wholesome and nice, and yeah, huge IP. Developed in Montreal.
Nice. That is very Canadian. I gotta say, right? That's like
that's a great analogy. I like that. Yeah, that summarizes us pretty well.
Yeah, that summarizes it.
And I love seeing a game too that like you kind of get in on the ground floor and see how the development works. And because this is on Game Pass, available in a way that you're playing it in early access, they're still kind of releasing content in a way that feels like seasons or DLC drops because they're making it live, right? And fixing things, and you're getting improvements. Like, it's just fantastic. So yeah, I was playing this game and then one day was looking up stuff on it and I was like, holy smokes.
It's made
made in Montreal. Who would have thunk?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that does, it's so wild to me that there's just so many titles out here that I don't think we've even begun to scratch the tip of everything that we've done. Like, we've done, like, in terms of Canadian made games, there is so many. Like,
I just figured it out. We haven't even touched the tip of the toque yet.
Oh, tip of the toque, eh?
I love that.
All right, let's get into what we're playing right now. Naomi,
okay.
Anything you're currently playing?
Yes, I've been playing nonstop Overwatch 2.
Ooh,
pretty much
since
the start of the year, maybe even a bit before. I don't know what it is about Overwatch 2, but I'm just like hooked. I can't stop playing it. And I've been playing different characters than I normally would. I'm very healer usually. Like, I love healers. And was big on Mercy.
You're very rare in that sense. There's not a lot of people that want to be the healers.
I know. I got really good at Mercy, and like, it's always just such a good feeling when you're Mercy and you're supporting the team in that way, because like now that I play other tanks and damage and I have a Mercy on the team, I'm always so grateful. Like, I get it. Like, I get the appeal of like having a Mercy in particular, like as a healer in that game. And it was nice. Like, people would always compliment me. They'd be like, you saved me, you know, or like, you kept me alive that whole game. I didn't even die once, you know, or keep boosting me because I'm crushing right now. So yeah, there was just like things like that I loved about the original Overwatch. But now with Overwatch 2, I started dabbling and like expanding my experience when it comes to some of the heroes in that game. And I've been really good at Mei. Like, Mei has been like she like really been nailing and playing her really well and getting a lot of wins. And recently Orisa, which I know people say she's OP, but like they nerfed her a little bit, and she's a bit more on even terms right now with other tanks. And so I've just been playing Overwatch 2, man. I can't. It's so easy to just hop in, play a couple matches, go back to work, you know, when you take a break during the day or something. And I don't know why I fell off of Overwatch the first time, but yeah, there's stuff they did in Overwatch 2 that I'm really, really liking. Some people might have different opinions, but as of right now, I think it's much improved from the first one.
I keep wanting to jump into that. It's been on my radar for quite a bit. I played like a tiny bit, and then it just like, you know, as it always happens in multiplayer games, the toxicity kind of got a little too much, and and I just was I think one match I basically got like bullied into being a character that I was just like I was not familiar with at all, and then they would make fun of me of basically like not knowing how to play that character right. I'm like I'm brand new.
Yeah, and you forced me to play this character.
Yeah,
like, what
exactly.
do you expect?
So it's just, but I've been meaning to kind of like to jump back in, because it seems like it'd be like, man, it's like I can see the appeal in the draw for it. I'm just like, man.
Yeah, because there's a hero pretty much for everyone. Like, and there is every hero has its own thing that it adds to the team, and it is a team-based game. So like, yeah, you should let me know if you hop back on. We should play some matches, because yeah, it'd be cool to find who your main is. Like, really,
I would love that. I have yet to figure out what my main is. So
try out different, like, you know, tanks or DPS or whatever you want, like whatever your kind of go-to thing is. And then they are really cool characters, and that's what makes it so fun for me. It's like there's always something new to explore, because you'll never get the whole breadth unless you like try different characters as you're going along. And
sure,
and you'd be shocked. Like, sometimes you really find a playstyle that hits you. You're like, I didn't think I would be a sniper, but here I am playing Widow all the time. Like, You know, sometimes people get surprised by the things that work for them in Overwatch and not their usual kind of MO. Like, I was always healer on most of those types of games, and now here I am, like, playing a tank and, like, killing a bunch of baddies and, like, getting a lot of damage and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Let me know if you get back into it.
Yeah, I can definitely use the help for sure.
Yeah. Leah, do you play Overwatch?
I haven't in a long time. No.
Okay.
But I should get back into it because we used to play a fair amount. So yeah, it's just been a while.
Yeah.
But
yeah, if you ever do though, hit me up because I'm almost always playing a match or two during the day.
Okay, good to know. And it works out too because of the time zones.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because like during pandemic and stuff, like lunchtime, I'd always leave this office, go out in the living room, play games for an hour, and then come back in again. And like I don't have that rhythm the same. So now gaming time when I'm out of work is in the evenings or on weekends. But that works out really well, right? Because West Coast, East Coast kind of deal, right?
Exactly. We should do it. We should squad up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Steve, what are you playing?
I've been playing a few things. This is not on Game Pass, but like, I mean, the new expansion for Destiny 2 was released not too long ago. So I was heavy like into the campaign for that. I have my own thoughts about it, but like the legendary campaign, we can just go to die. It's just like I mean, it was fine up until the last boss fight, where it took about 5 hours to complete. But anyway, I'm loving the new season so far. I mean, the Destiny, I've been playing that game for about 5 years, so I'm just always interested in it. Like, I think the storytelling that Bungie tells with this game is just so great. But that's kind of what I mainly play. So I'm just gonna get that out of the way first. But like, just to say, okay, yeah, we know it's not an Xbox game, but it was a Game Pass for whatever. I play it on Xbox. But the ones actually that I kind of started to jump back into because my brother. Last year, I got him for, an Xbox Series X and Game Pass. I can't remember if it was for his birthday or for Christmas or something. And it's because he's been wanting a console. And he's got 2 boys. He's got a family, so he doesn't have a lot of time to play video games. But when he does, he wanted a console that he can be able to play all kinds of games in that he wouldn't necessarily have time to buy and feel like he'd never be able to play. So he and I actually have been jumping into Halo Infinite, and we've been playing some co-op of Halo. And with the new season. Actually, I'm kind of digging a little bit of what the changes they've been doing to that, and it's been a lot of fun. I remember playing Halo Infinite when it came out, like when it launched, and it kind of the multiplayer obviously like was so good when it clicked in, but kind of getting back into it again, it's just like I remember how much I actually did like this. So. Yeah. And then the other, and of course the other one I'm currently playing is I just started. Okay. Oh, during the pandemic, you watch certain shows, you watch certain things. We all fell in love with the Tiger King. Let's just say that. But we're not talking about Tiger. But the one other show that kind of happened during the pandemic was F1 Drive to Survive on Netflix, and I fell in love with F1, and that made me want to reach out to try to be able to play the F1 games too. And so I started with F1 2022, and it's been a lot of fun. I've been playing a lot of Ricardo. May he hopefully come back to F1 at some point. If he's not in the current season with the pass out about.
So we need that smile.
Yeah. If you want to be able to play him, you want to play Daniel, you got to play him in F1 22 because that's the last time you'll be able to see him in the game. But it's been fun, and it just like it feels kind of like a great sort of extension to the show / watching the F1 season. So those are the games I've been kind of currently playing right now. I'm liking it. It's great.
My husband's playing that along with my brother-in-law, who recently just bought a sim chair and the wheel and the
I was gonna ask.
Ooh, I've never done that.
Yeah, so he just picked that stuff up, and they're starting it's with his work buddies, and then my husband's joining in too. They're gonna have their own little league. So they're all super excited. Yeah, we Drive to Survive has really grabbed everybody and gotten them super obsessed with F1. We're now following the entire season. The boys are playing the game. It's F1 fever right now, which is surprising considering Naomi, we were in Montreal. I never went to an F1 match. Would hear it every summer. It would be so loud.
I have yet to go. My friends have all been a couple times. I have yet to go.
Well,
I would love
they
to.
got them in Montreal. They got them in Austin. They got them in Miami. They're gonna have them in Vegas this year.
Yeah.
So,
Vegas might be. I could do that. I'm not
Yeah.
too far.
Party. Let's go to
Vegas
Vegas.
is brand new, so that's gonna be an interesting track.
Vegas is not a bad, in terms of cost, a cheap flight from Canada to Vegas.
True.
As from what I remember, this was back in the day when I lived there. But yeah, it's a hop, skip, and a jump. Just come on out. Let's go.
I have to go to Vegas to watch F1.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
love
wonder
racing.
now I'm thinking, like, when is it? Because I'm like, is TwitchCon happening around the same time? Because that would be kind of fun.
How can we make the stars align for traveling, right?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I do recall TwitchCon being a thing where there's going to be a bunch of events happening while TwitchCon is going down. Did I see that somewhere?
We'll have to
I
look
don't
it up.
know.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The schedule.
I've never been to Vegas, so I'm like, I have no idea.
Oh, you need to go.
Oh,
You need to
try
go.
Okay,
It is a
I'm scared.
wild ride.
If
Don't be,
anything,
it's
you should
fun.
go just to understand the cultural references. Like,
Yes.
'cause,
Okay.
what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and all these times. Like, every time you've heard the Vegas referenced, I don't know if you watched the Hangover movies. Like,
Okay.
you gotta go just to know what it's about.
Can you get it without having to gamble, or is that has to be part
Yes.
of the
I
package?
barely
100%.
gamble. Or if I do,
okay.
it's like dollar roulette or something. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a gambler. I just go for the lights.
I lost
I
60
go-
bucks in 5 minutes in poker one time, and it was bad. It was so bad.
no.
Oh man, I was like, I'm never coming to a casino ever again.
Yeah, I've never won anything at a casino ever in my life, so I'm right there with you.
It's rough, right? It's just like
It is rough.
Yeah.
You just never win.
I never lost money that quickly in my entire life.
Right. You're like, there it is, and there it's
And
gone.
there it goes.
It's gone.
On my end, Steve, I decided to pick up and download the game that you recommended last week, Heartspace Shipbreaker.
Ooh.
Which,
Yes.
in theory has everything that I like about a game, simulation, management, action, like all that kind of stuff. The only thing that's throwing me off that I'm trying to come to grips with is the movement, because you are constantly moving because you are floating in space.
Yes.
As you're trying to do things. And especially when I'm trying to get a grips on what I need to do, use the scanning mechanics, see what I got to cut, sort the different types of materials, throw them in the different receptacles that they have to go in so I can make the money so I can get out of debt. Yeah, it's like you're floating around, and that messes with my brain a little bit.
I mean,
and I'm
that's the thing.
"What?"
It's space. There's definitely a lot of space physics, and as they say in space physics be so
Yes, definitely. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a way that I can do it without making me woozy, because in theory it has everything I like. So if I can get there, we'll be good. The other thing that I decided to try, I feel like this was my week where I wanted to go out there and do things that I've never done before. I downloaded and started Wulong Fallen Dynasty. I've never played a Souls-like game before. So I was like,
Really?
why not? It's on Game Pass. Let's give it a go.
Heck yeah.
So I'm only a few hours in. I don't know
you haven't got to the
if
first
I'm
boss yet, have you?
new. Is that the one that's a level 15 all of a sudden when you're
Apparently,
like a level 2?
according to everybody
I
that's
don't
played it,
know.
it's just like the first boss is like it's just the why.
Yeah, definitely the level difficulty plus I don't know what I'm doing. So it's a lot of repetitive of, okay, I did this that time. Let's try to not do that again and try and make some other move that'll get me to the next part.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you've never played a Souls game that.
No.
I mean, I don't know if this is the entryway. I feel like you
It
need to
could
test
be.
run something
But
first.
Yeah, that's the thing. I heard it's sort of a rookie Souls-like, but I'm like, I don't know. It's...
I don't know. Yeah, or yeah, that's I would argue that any Dark Souls 2, I don't know, which one would you recommend, Steve, for an early first timer when it comes to Souls?
Actually, I think probably a Souls-like, or at least as close to a Souls-like that is a little bit more approachable, would probably be Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because that one
Okay.
is pretty close. Like it has that like kind of parry system that the Souls Souls fans love. You can, but the difference is that you can actually set the difficulty in this. So
That's what I need right now.
Yeah.
Did you
I
play
never
Fallen
said
Order? Leah, did you play?
No, I haven't. No,
Okay.
that's another
didn't
one.
play Fallen Order?
Yeah,
Oh my
no.
goodness.
Catherine reviewed that for us for the podcast because she is the hardcore Star Wars nerd. So yeah, no, I
think
have
you'd love
not.
it.
Oh,
I
it's
think
so
I
good.
need
Love
to. The story in concept of what I know of it, obviously I haven't been spoiled. But I should, and I know that the next one's coming out. So yeah, maybe I should give that a go at some point. Yeah.
There you go.
well worth it.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. And if not, just ask anyone. I'm not a pro by any means, but like even maybe Kyle, my husband, he's like really good at Souls games. So maybe if you need any like tips or guidance, because it is a lot.
I will take that.
Pro tips, you know what I mean?
And the last one that I've got is one of my favorite games. But the last time I actually played it was in 2020, and they've made a whole bunch of like feature improvements and new things in it. Is Astroneer. They now have feature like kind of like life improvements, plus there's now like an automation system and a railway system, and like I just love the atmosphere, the art style, everything about that game, you know, survival with collecting and all that kind of stuff, because I'm a hardcore Minecraft fan. Like it has all that stuff in it. I adore that game, and the fact that they're like still, you know, trucking along, Systemair is still putting out stuff for it. I adore it. So yeah, I re-downloaded that, and it's kind of nice, like having that like familiarity where you like, know what to do, but it's been long enough that I've kind of forgotten bits and pieces, like the controls, and they've made improvements that are a little different. So it's like coming at it again from a different angle. So yeah, I love Astroneer. I will always recommend that game. I am obsessed with that game. Back in 2020, it was like I was doing for like months. So yeah, can't wait.
I was
to play
wondering
more
about
of
that because I was like, that was the thing that because I played it at PAX like years ago, and and that was like I always felt like, oh man, this could be so much easier if it's just like you didn't have to micromanage everything. If it's automated, I'm like, okay, I might need to be able to pick this up now.
Yeah, no, and did any of you guys play No Man's Sky? I feel like it's more
I played a bit of No Man's Sky. Yeah,
it's a bit like that. It's a little bit of an early, like a more cartoony, more version of that. I think it's a good entryway if anything. But yeah, I saw Kyle was playing it. I didn't play it myself, but it looks so fun. And
it's
super
another one that has
colorful, like just cute, you know, like you love cute stuff, Leah.
I do. That draws me in. Like it speaks to me. And
I'm gonna play that Disney game now.
Yeah, there you go.
You sold me.
It has a multiplayer mechanic too. So maybe Steve, Naomi, at some point we want to jump into that and play it.
Yeah.
Build a base together and explore planets, and
That sounds like such a chill, like really fun time. I'm down.
Yeah.
And I love space. I think that's my I've discovered as I've gotten older. Like I just love sci-fi. I love space. I love things really. We're talking about Canadian-made games, but like Mass Effect. All that stuff. Yeah.
I love anything space or sci-fi or NASA or whichever. Like it's just speaking of which, my very first game that I remember I love, I think I still have it somewhere in either in storage or something, but it was like it came on like 14 floppy disks, and it was called Buzz Aldrin's Race to Space, and it was literally like you're just building up NASA around the Apollo, like the beginning of the space race all the way up to the Apollo 11 landing, and it's like it's like I never was able to get to land on the moon, but it was like because it was tough, but I was like I gave it a shot, and I loved it.
You gotta find those floppy disks.
I know. I totally need to. Yeah, I need to play.
There might be a ROM somewhere or a way to get it for sure.
Well, there's definitely. Have you guys heard of that site that has all the ROM games, like basically downloadable or like some form of it in a browser? What's the website? I forget what it's called.
Like a archive almost, because the games don't exist. You can't get them anymore. Yeah, so it's not like it's pirating. It's like it's for history. Yeah.
Oh. Let me see. I had the. Well, anyways, we'll exchange it on Discord later.
For sure.
Love it.
Well, let's get into Canadian games. And for the meat and potatoes of this podcast, or maybe I should say poutine, let's go on an adventure and stamp our passports for the games that we have played on Xbox Game Pass that are made by Canadian developers.
All right.
So these games are available as of the date of this recording. But just to let you know, if you're watching in the future, since games on Game Pass, come and go, they might be there, but you can usually purchase them on the Xbox Store. So these are games that this is kind of like our curated playlist, or we can be able to stamp our little passport with these collect the stamps, as it were. But just to let you know, like it could come and go, but you play them as best you can, and stuff like that. So yeah.
And there may be way more than the games that we're mentioning today, but of course that are available on Game Pass. But here's a sampling, just to give you an idea. There's a lot of Canadian-made content. So let's start with one of the biggest game developers in the country, Ubisoft. They've got studios in Montreal. They've got studios in Toronto, Quebec City, many other places, and they've been around for a really long time, making a lot of really good games. So one of the games that is available right now is Far Cry 5, and I adore this game. I think it might be my favorite of the Far Cry series. Have you guys played this one?
Yep.
Yeah? What were your thoughts?
I loved it. I think every time Far Cry gets reinvented, they always find a way to keep, I don't know how they do it, but every time I'm like, it's more Far Cry, the stuff that we love, and then they just bring it to a new world, a new part of the country, a new villain gets introduced, and they're really good at making villains. So yeah, I just loved it.
I think it's the only game series that really focuses around the villain. Usually it's you get to be that hero, but no, it's always the antagonist that is super interesting.
Yeah,
this one was super because it was it's normally Far Cry's had kind of these islands or whatever,
always on
these
an
far
island.
locations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this one's
Tropical.
set in the middle of America. You got a cult leader like Joseph C. I freaked out so many times whenever he would come on screen. It's just you're just so creepy. I don't like it. I'm just no, this is not right.
And all his crazy followers and siblings and everything.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And trippy, there's these trippy scenes too.
Yes.
I think that's one thing that Far Cry definitely, in terms of their identity, they know how to do a cool, tripped out, colorful, weird, dreamlike experience, and they do that almost in every game, and it's just so fun every time. This one in particular, really weird. I think it's one of the. There's several of them, but one of the ones I remember is this very soft-spoken, blonde-haired woman, carrying through, the swamps or something, and she's talking to you, and it's just, this weird, disturbing, I don't know, the way that they crafted this entire game was, and the story, they always just nail the story when Far Cry.
Yeah, actually, I just remember, I'm thinking, what was her name? It's oh yeah, no, of
I don't
course this makes
remember her
sense.
name.
It's Faith.
Yeah, Faith, that's right, that's right.
It's the drugs. She had the
It's
drugs.
the drugs. That's what they have. It's the drugs that do it.
That was why it was all ethereal, because you was high as a kite.
I know. That thing makes sense anyway. Yeah, and wasn't the villain voiced by Troy Baker too, I think?
No, that was a
Different one.
Far Cry. Yeah, different Far Cry.
That was 4. Was it 4?
That was 4.
Yeah.
I
and
forget
then, of course,
which one.
Michael Mando as Voss in Far Cry 3. Oh my
Classic.
God.
I can't remember the guy's
classic.
name for Far Cry 5, but then of course, we Giancarlo Esposito is in
yeah.
6. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Such a great franchise.
Always borderline insane because of the ways and the weapons you have and how you can go and deal with the outposts and stuff. Always chaos ensued in the best way.
I think that was the first Far Cry game that I ever actually finished from beginning to end. And one of the things actually that it kind of ties into, because it's one of the few times they ever made a kind of a sort of an indirect a direct sequel with Far Cry New Dawn.
Yes.
And one of the characters that because obviously Far Cry is known for you can bring characters with you as kind of part of your team, and they can kind of help you, and they have different sort of abilities and different sort of things that they can do to help you kind of complete missions. But one of the characters in there, her name was Grace, and she was such a badass character that I had her in pretty much every single mission that I would take her on, because she was really good with with shotguns, and she was really good with snipers, and she was just great as a weapons master overall, as a great companion. But then what I found was such a cool moment was in New Dawn. This takes place after Far Cry 5, and so there was like a nuclear, like spoilers, unfortunately, for the end of Far Cry 5.
Yeah,
but there's a
but
nuclear
yeah.
explosion that happens,
Right.
so it kind of transforms the world that you're in. But some of the characters survive, and Grace survived, but she became blind. And instead, like what I love what Ubisoft did with the character was instead of you can't like bring her out on excursions with you as a companion, but instead of but as she was sort of a well-known sort of weapons master, she then makes all of the crazy weapons that you get in the game. She makes like the chainsaw shooting like a chainsaw blade shooting weapon that you get, and like shotgun, and, like you get all the crazy weapons are all made by her. And it's like I love that because it was like kind of cool representation that she didn't let that stop her from helping out other people, and she did what she knew how to do best. And she's like, let's just make some weird ass like weapons, and I love it.
I love that. Yeah, they just always do a good job with those. I just love Far Cry, like from day one. I just have always been a fan.
Yeah,
it's been so good. Yeah.
There's also, of course, the Assassin's Creed series. And right now, Origins and Odyssey, two of the best of the Assassin's Creed games are on there. Everyone always says Odyssey is the best. I love Origins because of the opportunity to go back to Egypt. And, considering, we've got more Assassin's Creed coming, hopefully this year and soon. So, like, Assassin's Creed is always a good one to jump into and always slightly different, which is good because of, obviously, the setting and which assassin you're playing as. But then also, to the mechanics as they've moved through the years. There's definitely still the stealth, but it's getting really big into combat. They've really nailed that down over the past few years as well. And I'm always game to play a new Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I love like I'm saying with you, like I love Origins with Egypt, but I think that Odyssey, best Wonder Woman game we have yet to play.
True.
Oh, that's the perfect comparison. Comparison. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, Cassandra, the only way to play that.
Oh yeah, hands down. Anyone else who plays, you can't go wrong with Cassandra. I mean, you can play the other one, but you definitely should play Cassandra.
Yeah, I think the story works better. I'm like, it's not just the a character choice between male, female, but they actually integrated kind of a bit of a story to it. But it totally makes sense. Like with if you choose Cassandra, like I don't know, it's almost like maybe they kind of designed it to be around Cassandra, but who?
I know. I want to be a fly on the wall in the development of that story. Yeah.
True.
AC Valhalla too. I mean that one.
Oh,
Valhalla's great
so
too.
Many.
Yeah.
Come on, Vikings.
That's great.
Can't go wrong.
Exactly.
We were all hoping for that one, and it finally happened. So.
Now, another franchise that like we all know, we kind of talked about it a little bit, that is also Canadian. We got BioWare from Edmonton. They have obviously the Mass Effect trilogy and Dragon Age. So like, and Coder, Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. Like it's just you kind of. I mean, what can else be said about Mass Effect? Like, especially with the Mass Effect trilogy, like the remastered versions on Game Pass now too, which is so. Right for me, it's like it's kind of really the only way to play that. And I'm not saying that just because I have a giant Mass Effect and 7 helmet back here either, but
So many people I know, like entry level, got into Mass Effect because of that trilogy that they put out, right? And started the beginning and made their way through, like, and got to see the story through its fruition. So that I think is such a great thing for them to be able to do, to take a game, especially since, sometimes they're locked behind old consoles. Sometimes they're on floppy disks that we can't play anymore, right? So like for the preservation of these games, these stories that we love so much, it's so great that they can do that and then, put it on a platform like Game Pass.
Naomi, if you had to choose, which one would you choose, Mass Effect or Dragon Age?
Oh my goodness. Was not expecting that. Mass Effect. Just because of the
space.
It was my intro into BioWare games. So I want to say for me it was like and I even read the books of Mass Effect. Like I was fully invested in that world. And again, sci-fi, that's my go-to, but I did love the heck out of Dragon Age. I will give him that. So, the next Dragon Age game, whenever that comes out, I'm all about it. But I want to say just in terms of the impact it's had on my life, Mass Effect through and through. So
let me ask you. I'm gonna confession time.
Okay.
I have never played a Dragon Age game before.
That's okay.
Which one should I play?
Inquisition, in my opinion.
Inquisition. Okay.
Yeah. It's really, really good. And it's classic BioWare. Like, it's just the way that they did everything in that game. Storyline wise, amazing. Complete character customization. I love it. I just love everything you can do in that game. And some of the my favorite part of the world that you get to go to is like this sand dune, and it's just like so cool to run around that place. Yeah, okay. You'll love it. You'll love it.
Nice.
We've already sung the praises of Disney Dreamlight Valley. I've already convinced Naomi to go download that and play it because that's Gameloft Montreal. But, I mean, come on, we're Canadian. We have to talk about hockey, right?
Let's go.
So, EA,
hockey,
huge studio.
Hockey,
I know. Huge studio. They do have a development group out of in Vancouver who are in charge of making the NHL series. Did I read as well that they're also in charge of some of the FIFA stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was FIFA 22. I think was the one that they were known for. So, yeah. So they're branching out. EA Vancouver definitely ain't no slouch when it comes to the EA Sports franchises.
Right. Just the gift that keeps on giving. EA.
Yeah, so true. Yeah. And it's always a must purchase every year for everybody in my family, and then chaos ensues around Christmas time when, we've decided to play during another one where I have a console in my back room here where we are recording. I have another one out in the living room. My brother has one. My brother-in-law has one. And we will all get together and play NHL to the point where my dad gets jealous that he's not included, but he doesn't know how to play. So one day we will teach him.
Nice.
You gotta teach him.
We will.
Oh, man.
Another good one, Tribute Games out of Montreal, put out a game that's pretty recent, and I know this is one that's close to Steve's heart, TMNT Shredder's Revenge!
Yeah! Cowabunga, baby!
Oh, sorry, I stole your thunder. Oh, I'm the worst. I'm the worst. I just had to. It's TMNT. We love it.
Oh, I love and that game has such a great style. It kind of is a very akin to the old arcade machine games that you would play of TMNT, and but it's so it's such a great tribute to just not only the TMNT games of old, but kind of modernizes in a great way. Anyone can drop in and basically play co-op, and it was it surprised me how easy it is to just sort of hey, just connect with someone and just immediately they just drop into whatever game that you're currently playing without having to go through all the hoops and stuff. And it's so great. I love that even it's if you pick up pizza, which is your health, and it's if you're playing co-op with your friends, you can you can go up to them and just high five them, and you can share some of that health if you need to. It's such a cool mechanic. And then of course the soundtrack. They got the Wu-Tang Clan. They got the Wu-Tang Clan.
They know their audience. They know their audience. That's perfect.
Oh, I love it. So
fitting because the TMNT, the movie that Seth Rogen came out with just got the trailer. We just got the first trailer this week. So
I can't wait.
Depending when you're listening to this, of course.
Yeah.
But it's out. Go watch it. And play TMNT.
Speaking of good soundtracks.
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh, I know.
Good segue.
I know
Speaking of good soundtracks.
I know.
Straight from ADOS Montreal, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. That's one that I didn't anticipate being as good as it is. And like I said, phenomenal soundtrack. Makes sense considering Guardians of the Galaxy and how much that is based around music.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic getting to play that one, and super, super amazing that's made in Montreal. Who would have thunk?
Yeah, there's so many big franchises that are just they trust. I think people trust, these franchises trust that Canadian made games know what they're doing. There's so much talent up there. When I used to live there, it was my home, but now it's north of me, and I don't live there anymore.
It's okay. Yeah. We can always welcome back home for every once in a while. It's fine.
That's right.
Fine. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. But so glad that the game was good because I Guardians of the Galaxy, one of my favorite Marvel movies. To have a game that did not underdeliver, definitely hit the right points, and I think that's really important. It's so disappointing when you play a game of a franchise you love and it's not good, so I'm right there with you. I think I'm glad that it was handled by the right studio, IDOS Montreal, and they made a really great game.
Yeah.
Difficult too when it's based on, coming off of, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is so iconic and we're so used to seeing the characters a certain way by certain people presented that in their particular manner and like getting a spin, but still having the essence of the original character. Because that's what it's based around anyways, the comic book.
So important.
So fantastic job there. Let's talk indie. We've got a single developer out of Halifax, Nova Scotia, Andrew, and I want to make sure I say his name right. Steve, you may have to help me. Shouldice? Does that sound right? Andrew Shouldice?
Right. Yeah.
So Tunic is an interesting, almost like a Zelda harder version, but with a fox.
Kind of, yeah.
So that's awesome because Xbox has always been super good too with ID at Xbox and all the indie games that they've been supporting over the years. I mean, we've talked about Cuphead and lots of other games that they've had, and Tunic is another one that came to Game Pass. It was actually surprising at first that it came there because I think it wasn't supposed to, and then so many people clamored for it and it ended up showing up on Game Pass. Like, that's awesome.
I think that probably my favorite mechanic of that game, and this kind of goes back to I think all of our roots is like growing up with older consoles, was the instruction manual that you would collect pages of as you were playing the game. And what was great was that it looked exactly like kind of the instruction booklets that we used to see when it comes with games, but they also were like, he was so precise and like adding like the handwritten notes that we always would put in, like with like secrets or whichever, but the pages you would collect would also kind of was almost like a puzzle, because then that would sort of explain different mechanics that you can be able to do that you can't unlock until you get a certain page, and it unlocks the map too. It's just such a great like collecting mechanic that is actually tied into the gameplay, but it also ties into the roots of why we kind of fell in love with sort of the Zelda sort of like games and way back when we were kids playing those games, and like, wait, how do you do this thing again? And you look at the instruction booklet if you were able to get one, or if you rented one, if it was hopefully in the box if you rented it. But so yeah, it's a very good game. Did you play it, Naomi?
I didn't get a chance to. I'm so sad.
Well, it's still there. You got time.
That's my thing. Like after today, like I have my list. I have my list of games I'm gonna download. But yeah, I heard so many good things about that game.
If you like cutie kind of style
Zelda
games, well,
that's all you need to say. That's all you need to say.
Yeah. And you play as like a little fox.
Yeah,
I know.
He's
and
so
I love
cute.
Foxes. In particular, red pandas, which are kind of foxes. They're fire foxes.
Yeah.
But I know this one's like an actual fox, but I'll still play it. Don't worry.
Another good one coming out of East Coast is Moonglow Bay. This is Coatsink Studio. I believe they're actually over in Nova Scotia, but they...
so they're from like the East Coast, but the studio's apparently in the UK. Like
the developers are from... And the theme of this game is essentially you have lost your partner, that you want to live through their dreams of re-energizing this East Coast Canadian fishing village. It's like a fishing sim, rebuild the town. Can you see a theme of games that I like here?
Yeah, building little
close
villages.
to home, I think.
and like the art style, so cute. It's kind of like this isometric kind of vibe, and like you catch your fish, you can cook them into dishes. You help like different places in the town rebuild so that you can like sell your dishes and all that kind of stuff. It's super cute. I really like it.
You haven't played it yet?
I haven't played it yet. No,
I haven't played it yet.
I've been meaning to, because I remember there was like an ID at Xbox showcase that I was a part of, that I got to talk to the devs about it, and they because I asked them, I was like, of course, like it's Canadian, so I wanted to talk to them. It's like, what was it like how much was Canada sort of like an inspiration to them? And they're like, oh, 100%. It felt like home to us, and as they were making it. So they're Canadian expats, as we call them, but they still have like a big heart for Canada. And this is a game that is, as you said, is going on my list to be able to play on Game Pass after the show for sure.
Oh, lovely. So
yeah.
good.
Out of Vancouver, we've got Blackbird Interactive, and they've actually got a game that we've already spoken of, Hardspace Shipbreaker, and one that's coming real soon. Minecraft Legends.
Hotly anticipated.
Oh, yeah. So that one's going to be super, super exciting to play once it releases on April 18th, I believe.
Oh my God,
I
that's
believe
soon.
so. Yeah. I think, yeah.
I mean, anything with Minecraft, I'm there day one, right?
Yeah,
Minecraft
another big
Dungeons,
franchise.
Minecraft. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And for a company to be able to, get a Canadian company that they're getting the chance to handle this huge IP because Minecraft is one of the biggest games in the world.
Arguably the biggest, if not the biggest.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a pretty dope game that we're excited for.
They're gonna crush it.
Oh yeah.
Of course
Yeah.
they will.
I think it's one of the only games I might actually jump into the PvP aspect for because every map will be like completely brand new every time you load in, and it's basically like a
True.
tower defense thing where you just kind of using all the different things that in Minecraft of kind of like building traps and stuff like that while another team's doing the same, and so I think that would be such a fun time just to be like to see what the different strategies that people do as we kind of like build out our own bases and try to destroy the other base. So even though I know it's probably gonna have like a great sort of single player campaign, at least according to the stuff that we've seen already, but that one when they talked about that, I was like, oh, that actually might make me want to jump into the multiplayer of this. So yeah, I'm excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
Last on our list today, but obviously not the last Canadian game available on Game Pass. Plus, we don't know what else might pop up there in the future. But
Yeah.
I have to recommend Compulsion Games out of Montreal. They built this game called Contrast that I played when it launched back in the day. That is like this action puzzle game, but it's got this like Art Nouveau noir style to it, and it really plays with light and shadow. That's the real mechanic of how you move around in the levels and solve stuff. And even if you think there's like a spot you can't jump, you can because you're playing within the shadows and things like that. Really, really good game. I recommend it.
Wow.
Not a long one either. Like what I remember playing it, now mind you, it's been a few years, but like it's a nice, not too extensive game that has a great story, amazing art style with puzzle mechanics that are very different. Never really experienced anything quite like playing with shadows before. Have you guys tried that one?
No,
I'm not.
this was something I wanted to talk to you about because I was like, I have not heard of this. It sounds like really, really cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. So the concept is that there are two main characters, Don and Dee Dee, and they appear as 3D figures, but you control the character of Don, who is more like an imaginary friend. And as you're going through things, you're able to manifest as this three-dimensional shadow. And you can jump between two shadows, no matter how far apart they are, and kind of make your way through the world as you're kind of trying to finish it. I don't want to talk about too much about how the story is, because obviously I don't give too much away or anything.
Yeah.
But the thing that's cool about this game is it does have that like eerie vibe to it. It's not outright scary. So if you want to have like a mood of like maybe when Halloween comes around, or you want to feel a little bit, spooky, but not getting outright spooked. Like this is not a horror game, but it has that like macabre kind of feeling
like
to it.
Inside kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Inside's not scary, but it's got a mood to it.
It's
like
got a
dark-
mood.
Yeah.
That would be, I would say, more on the darker end of things. So because you're playing with light and shadow. So
Yeah.
I really
Little
enjoyed that game when it
supernatural
came out.
vibes. Yeah.
Ooh,
I like that.
Exactly.
okay. I like
love
this.
that.
So
That's going on my list. It's
There
going
you
on
go.
my list.
Add it to the list. Stamp that
Love that.
passport.
Yeah.
So like we mentioned, this is just a sampling of Canadian developed games that are currently available on Xbox Game Pass. We know there will be more as the time goes on and as games release. And of course, a lot of games release day and date, considering we've got Minecraft Legends coming up. So that's going to be super awesome. And now I think that brings us to the conclusion of this episode. So Steve, take it away.
So Naomi, thank you so very much for joining us. It's super great. And we unanimously we just thought like, who can we be able to bring on for the Canadian episode? And you were the first person we thought of. So thank you so much. Of course,
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been sad if you hadn't invited me, to be honest.
Oh, no,
I would have been like, guys,
I would have been
come
upset to find out that you would have been sad about not being in the show. So we're glad we were able to like do the right thing right away. So
Perfect.
where can people what projects you got going on, and where can people be able to find you online?
Yeah, so online, my usual Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just look up Naomi Kyle. I'm sure I'll pop up there. And YouTube too. I haven't posted much on YouTube lately though. But no, lately I've been working on a lot of podcast appearances, trying to build out a podcast of my own. What else have I been doing? I have like some behind the scenes stuff that again really can't talk about, but it's getting very excited and it's like making. It's going to be a big change, I think, to my career and what's going to happen. So
Nice.
I don't know. I wish I had more to say, but like
It's
I can't really
okay.
tease much. Just follow my socials for more.
That's okay. You know, as like perpetual hosts, like there's always something that we gotta like tease because it's like we do.
There's a thing I can't talk
There's a
about
thing we can't talk about just yet.
Constantly.
Yeah. So
awesome.
that's it. Just more in the game stuff, and I'm always on the socials talking about stuff and doing live streams. I mean, I Twitch stream, so if you want to find me on there, it's just Naomi Kyle. I Twitch stream I try to do once a week. Mostly, it's been a lot of Overwatch. So if you're into Overwatch, be sure to check that out.
Nice.
There you go. I got something.
Yeah, and you'll be able to find links to follow Naomi in the description of the podcast or in the show notes or in the description in the YouTube video as well. So make sure you do go follow because I like it. It's required following of the show. You have to. You have to now. I'm forcing you to. Anyways, so that's it for this episode of the Xbox Passport. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast where all podcasts are, including my YouTube channel at Steve Saylor. For the video version of the show. If you liked what you heard, please give us a rating or on your platform of choice and a review. It would really kind of help us up, as we're starting up the show, kind of getting this up in the iTunes or Apple Podcast rankings and Spotify and all that stuff. We also would love to be able to read your thoughts. Also, let us know on socials, YouTube or on podcast platforms, what is your favorite Game Pass game? We'd love to be able to check it out for the show if there's something that we have not played yet that we would love to try out in our section of what we're playing this week. And lastly, share the show with your friends or the gaming party you play with to help spread the word about the show. Thank you so very much for listening and or watching. Until next time, when everybody plays, we all win. Bye!